Dr. William F. Pickard, Ph.D., is chairman of the Global Automotive Alliance, co-managing partner of the MGM Grand Detroit Casino, CEO of Bearwood Management Company, and co-owner of 5 Black-owned newspapers. Pickard's 45-year entrepreneurial career began as a McDonald's franchisee in Detroit, Michigan. Since its founding in 1989, Global Automotive Alliance has generated more than $5 billion in sales, with 8 plants in the United States and Canada, and services corporations such as Boeing, Mercedes-Benz, Ford, General Motors, Chrysler, Delphi, Johnson Controls, Starbucks, Home Depot, and Merck Pharmaceutical. He has served on numerous business and nonprofit boards, including Asset Acceptance Capital Corporation, Michigan National Bank, LaSalle Bank, Business Leaders for Michigan, National Urban League, Detroit Symphony Orchestra, Detroit Black Chamber of Commerce, and is a life member of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. In 2001, Pickard was awarded Michiganian of the Year for his business success, civic leadership, and philanthropy. Pickard was the first chairman of the African Development Foundation in 1982, appointed by President Ronald Reagan, and under President George Bush, he was appointed to the National Advisory Committee on Trade Policy Negotiations, as well as the Federal Home Loan Bank Board of the Indianapolis Bank in Indiana. Dr. Pickard is also creating a new generation of entrepreneurs with his book, Millionaire Moves: 7 Proven Principles of Entrepreneurship. Dr. Pickard will share his undeniable principles anyone can use to become a successful entrepreneur. Dr. Pickard holds a bachelor's degree from Western Michigan University, a master's from the University of Michigan, and a Ph.D. from The Ohio State University. He has donated over $1 million to the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. In honor of Dr. Pickard, the William F. Pickard Living Center is named in his honor at Grand Valley State University. Dr. Pickard has donated over $3 million to Western Michigan University, which will be used to build a new facility on campus.
If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. That wonderful introduction by that wonderful young lady whose family I've known for years. There are 2 things about my life that she didn't get a chance to tell you. One, I'm from a little town in Georgia. Now I live up north. You know, northerners don't know nothing about geography. And they always ask me, where is LaGrange, Georgia? Where is LaGrange, Georgia? So when you meet a fool, you give a fool a foolish answer, you know? LaGrange, Georgia is 30 minutes from Atlanta, Georgia by telephone. A little bit of time. And the second thing I want you to know is that I am a great product of the University of Michigan, The Ohio State, and I majored in social work. I ain't stuttering. I majored in social work. So I want you to look at me every now and then and say, wait a minute. If God can take a social worker and make him a multimillionaire, I got it easy. So now I want to tell you my basic philosophy of life. And that is, anybody from anywhere can accomplish anything. Anybody from anywhere can accomplish anything. But now hold up, I gotta go to Drake on you a little bit. I gotta go a little Drake for a minute. But Drake says you must put the work in. Because Drake says one day your idol will become your friendly rival. If you put the work in. Look out, Jay-Z. So if you put the work in, there's nothing that you cannot accomplish in this world. I believe that. I'm not an Aggie, my doctor is an Aggie. But I read about this great black astronaut that came out of here. I didn't know his mama, don't know his daddy, don't know where he came from. But I'm sure somebody told him in the engineering school when he was a student, son, you can probably be a great engineer, but you're never going to be an astronaut. He said, hold up, watch me. And of course, he became one of the first black astronauts. So the book says, Millionaire Moves, there are 7 proven principles of entrepreneurship. Now, I'm not unfortunately, I wish I was an MBA or a CPA or chief marketing officer. I'm none of that. I've never worked for Merck. I never worked for General Motors. I never worked for Ford Motor Company. I ain't had no real job in my life except I hustled every day. And I want to remind you of one thing. Hustle will always beat brains when brains don't hustle. You got to get up every morning and make something happen. Now I wish I was as smart as Dr. Gordon, graduate of North Carolina A&T, graduate of the medical school at UNC. He's a brilliant brother. But God didn't give me that. But he gave me something else. I'm going to hustle until I die. And I will die wealthy, not rich. Because if you make money while you sleep, you're moving in the right direction. But so what is the first of my 7 principles? Jay-Z, now look at this. Jay-Z was 18 years old, living in Brooklyn, New York, in the Marcy Projects. 18. Here's what that young brother wrote. He said, your vision must be greater than the window you're looking through. Now back up, unpack it. Now a lot of y'all don't know what projects are. Y'all ain't never lived in those projects. But the project windows be like this, you know, little small things. And Jay-Z said your vision must be greater than the window you're looking through. And I would suggest to you, no matter how large the window is, your vision should be greater. But the Bible says it better than Pickard. But the Bible says, without vision, the people shall perish. You will never be what you cannot see. You must visualize what you want to actualize. Now, most of you, I'm a black history person. I'm a race man. I don't apologize for it. I ain't mad at nobody, but I like black folk. I know us. And there was a woman named Madam C.J. Walker. Now all y'all heard about it, but you ain't heard the real story. She was born 2 years after slavery. She was married at 13. She was a mother at 15. She was a widow at 17 and a multi-millionaire at 35. Now what's your excuse for being poor at this point? She had no bank. She had no SBA. She had no government to set things aside. She just had grit. And she said, I got my start by giving myself a start. But here's what I love about Madam CJ. When you read, I know you're busy reading all this other stuff, but you ought to read about black folk. Because Madam CJ Walker had a little daughter. And they lived in a cabin. Now this is 1880, 1890. They lived in this cabin. At that time, there was a store called Sears and Roebuck's. It's something like the magazine you would see today for Victoria's Secret, okay? So anyway, she would take these pictures in the Sears and Roebuck's magazine, and she would post them and paste them on the shack where they lived. Today we call that what? A vision board. Talk to me, young brother. That woman was visualizing what she wanted her life to be. And she was living in a shack in Mississippi. Madam C.J. Walker. Straight and calm, yes. But more importantly, she learned how to make money while she slept. I'm suggesting to you, I'm telling you that these things about economics and finance and corporate America, don't let anyone ever convey to you that we have not mastered it. You know the brother from Mert went to school here. But I go back to, again, the 1920s and 1930s, Birmingham, Alabama. You ever heard of the real richest black man in America? Up until the 50s? Mr. A.G. Gaskin from Birmingham, Alabama. Multi-millionaire. 1948, Time magazine gave him Man of the Year, Businessman of the Year. They was going to give him the award out in San Francisco, California. And unfortunately, Mr. Gaskin had not been to Alabama State. He had not been to Alabama A&M. He had not been to North Carolina A&T. He was not formally educated. So people were worried about what is he going to say to the national press that might embarrass our community. Even though he's a multi-millionaire, even though Time magazine is calling him the Businessman of the Year in 1948, we were concerned about the image of our community, as we should be. So the Urban League and the NAACP sent two young graduates, perhaps one from North Carolina A&T and one from Hampton. I'm making that part up now. And they go down to Birmingham to help Mr. Gaskin get ready for his speech. Mr. Gaskin, you two boys need to go back to New York because y'all just getting me all confused about this speech. I don't need y'all. I said, Mr. Gaskin, just work with us. They were probably communication majors, you know what I mean? And so the story goes that on the day that he was supposed to give the speech in California, he got there, and the man said, ladies and gentlemen, I give you one of the most successful men in America, that colored businessman from Birmingham, Alabama, Mr. A.G. Gaskin. Mr. Gaskin stood up, walked to the podium and said, thank you, sir. Glad to be here. I've been on that train for 3 days coming in from Birmingham, Alabama. The Urban League sent these two young whippersnappers down here to help me work on my speech. They've been rehearsing me every day. They got me so confused, I don't know if I'm supposed to say I is a millionaire or I are a millionaire. A.J. Gaskin, y'all read his story. It's fascinating. Doing the civil rights thing when everybody was getting put in jail, Mr. Gaskin was writing checks to get bond, to get Dr. King and all the brothers and sisters out of jail. He did it. No formal education. I'm not upset about education. I got a PhD for whatever that means. But my granddaddy told me very early, he said, boy, when are you going to stop going to school? I said, Gramps, I want to get a PhD. He said, in social work? I said, yes, Gramps. He said, well, let me tell you something, son. I'd rather hear you say I is rich rather than I am poor. But education is important. But vision is even more important. And I leave vision by giving you an example of a lady you probably read about named Helen Keller. Helen Keller was from Alabama. Young lady born in those days, so-called blind, deaf, and dumb. We don't use those words anymore. But she had a teacher by the name of Mrs. Sullivan. And that tells you again that all you need is one person to believe in you. And Mrs. Sullivan taught Mrs. Keller how to read and communicate through Braille and other things. She went around the world changing how people see the so-called handicapped people in life. And the story goes, Dr. Gordon, she came back to New York and they met her at the docks. The young reporter said, Mrs. Keller, you've been around the world. You've helped people understand the handicaps of people. Is there one thing that you would like to give to America now that you've been around the world? And what is the most pathetic thing in the world, Mrs. Keller? She said, that's easy. The most pathetic thing in the world is a person with 20/20 sight and no vision. You must see what you want to be. Now, I would love to run through all 7 of these so-called principles, but we don't have quite that much time, but I'm going to take a couple just to have enough to have us ask questions of me. Because what you should be asking yourself now, wait a minute, hold up. She read this Bible about this man. I Googled him since he stood up. This brother got it going on. He owns a part of a casino. Just gave $1 million to the National Black Museum. Just gave $3 million to Western Michigan. Who is this dude? Where did he come from? How did he do it? He told us he went to school to be a social worker. We know by now he's not very intelligent, so what is the secret sauce? You know? What is it? The God I serve can make a way out of no way. But Drake says, you must put the work in. You must put the work in. And as Drake said, we all start at the bottom. And look at us now. Okay, hold on. So let me give you one that I think is critical. And that one is relationships. You know, we all heard about networking, you know. Well, to me, you either network or you don't work. I know all kinds of people with degrees, very bright people, and yet they can never seem to get to connect, to get from one level to another level. And a lot of what's going on with your generation is that you stay in your silo. You don't connect enough. Now, I'm not hung up on fraternities and sororities and student governments and alumni associations, but let me tell you something. If you see a frog on top of a fence, you should know the frog did not get there by himself. You got to have a lot of folk helping you through this thing called life. So relationships are critical. As a matter of fact, if you were to ask me what is probably the most important thing in this entrepreneurial process, I would probably say your vision, which is the same as your mind. And then I would say relationships. Now, she told you that I am the co-managing partner of the MGM Casino in Detroit, Michigan. So people in Detroit said, how did this guy's a social worker, he cooks hamburgers every day at McDonald's, how does he become co-managing partner of the MGM Casino? God has an answer. When I was a college student, young, tall, dark, handsome, alpha man. I lived in a dorm we call Hungry Hall. It did not serve meals. I had a roommate by the name of Dennis Wayne Archer. He was a special ed major. I was a social work major. Both of us doomed to work for somebody all of our lives. Dennis meets a wonderful woman. Her father convinces him to go to law school. He not only goes to law school, he becomes the mayor of the city of Detroit. He becomes a member of the Michigan Supreme Court. He became the first black person to ever be president of the American Bar Association. Dennis Wayne Archer, Google it. So this is Pickard version of what happened. MGM comes to town and said, Mr. Mayor, we want to open a casino in Detroit, and we want you to give us a tall, dark, handsome gentleman to be our co-managing partner. He said, you're talking about my roommate, Pickard. That's what you're talking about. And here I stand. And most people today in Detroit don't know what happened. One, don't read, and two, you don't connect the dots. But if you go through the relationships, and I'm going to talk about one in a minute right here from your campus. If you connect the dots on relationships, you'll see why, who does what, and why things happen. Example, I read about this lady called Act One in Black Enterprise all the time, because I'm in there. I'm number 8 or 9 every year. She's number 2, 1, 3. Who is this sister, Act One? Who's woman staffing. Then she jumped up to become $1 billion. What the heck? Who is this woman? So I started to read about her. Then I read, oh, she went to A&T. I think I know where this is going. It's going back to Merck. And it's going back to a gentleman with A&T. And I can see him saying, okay, we got to have people to help us staff up. We're going to use Act One. She's qualified. She can do the job. And I went to A&T with her. But most people see Janice. They see Act One doing $1 billion. They don't have a clue. Don't get me wrong now. She was qualified. She was good. But she needed somebody to connect the dots to get her there. And I would beg of you, the person you see sitting beside today, you don't know what that person's going to be doing in 10 years, 15 and 20 years. So be nice to people. Be kind. Be involved. It doesn't have to be a sorority fraternity. Join the student government. Join anything. I'm an only child. My mama said I joined everything that came around. I joined the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts. I was in everything. Well, I got to correct that now. I was in the Cub Scouts, but they put me out because I tried to eat up all the brownies, so that didn't work out too well. You get it tomorrow. Okay. So relationships are important. Tell you quickly, everybody talk about, well, Pickard, how do you get money to go into business? Well, first of all, if you had money, why you want to go in business? But anyway, money is the easiest part of the entrepreneurial process. Money is the easiest part of the entrepreneurial process. When a person comes to you for a loan, when a person comes to you to invest in their deal, I don't bet on the horse. I bet on the jockey. I'll repeat that. I don't bet on the horse. I bet on the jockey. Horse will eat grass. Horse will eat in the stable. They'll sleep in the rain. A jockey wants filet mignon. He wants a Bentley. He wants a private plane. He wants a fine family. The jockey is the key. How bad does the jockey want it? Will she work every day, 7 days, 8 days a week? How bad does she want it? That's what people bet on. They bet on you. I've been in McDonald's 47 years. I've seen McDonald's literally go out of business with person A. Person B goes in as a new owner. Success. How hungry are you? How bad do you want it? It always amazes me. Well, Brother Pickard, you know, man, I called such and such, and he didn't call me back, you know. And I went down to the bank and I applied for a loan, I didn't get it. And you know, man, I don't understand. Brothers just won't help brothers. They don't even call me back. I said, well, man, I'm sorry to hear that, but let me ask you a question. If you met Beyonce's niece, and she gave you her digits, and you called her once, and she didn't call you back, what would you do? He said, I keep calling. Well, fool, Dad, he goes, keep calling. Keep calling. Keep calling. I didn't make a nuisance of myself, but I wasn't too proud to beg. I tell people all the time, I'm full of it. 3 P's. Prayer, patience, and perseverance. Prayer, patience, and perseverance. Now, if I had time, I'd tell you the difference. You say, how can you be patient if you're persevering every day? Because you understand. There's a goal out there. It's going to take me a little while, but I'm going to work on it. I'm going to work on it every day. I'm not going to be disruptive. I'm not going to make an A out of myself, but every day I get up, I'm going to work on this project. Financing is the easiest part of the entrepreneurial process. My mother, God bless her, when she picked up the Detroit Free Press and says, Bill Pickard is a co-managing partner of the MGM Casino. She said, boy, have you gone crazy? That's gambling and dancing and drinking and naked women. Boy, come up here. I had to go home, Mama. It ain't like it's a nice place, my dear. No, I look on television. I see them in Las Vegas. I don't like that. I said, my dear, it's not. Boy, that's tainted money. I said, what you say, my dear? That's tainted money. I said, what my granddaddy said. Only thing wrong with tainted money, taint enough of it. But I'll tell you my story. I'm at Ohio State University, 1971. They're looking for Negroes who can read, write, and chew gum to get into McDonald's. I needed $25,000. I'm a PhD student. I know I ain't got $25,000. And I $1,000. But I know two guys. One was my fraternity brother, one was a captain. Went to school with them. They saved every penny they had. I called them up and said, hey guys, we got a chance. Each guy said, I'm in. So now I'm in a PhD program. I ain't got no money. I raised my hand. I was at the Ohio State University. I went to the Ohio State Student Union on a Sunday to the Alpha meeting, Kappa chapter. Now I said to a young bro, man, if I had $10,000, I could get a McDonald's franchise. This is what God will do. He said, you have any student loans? I spent them on a fellowship. Got no loan. He said, look, go talk to Brother John Hall. He works in financial aid. That was Sunday about 4 o'clock. I talked to Brother Hall. He said, be in my office Tuesday at 11 a.m. I walked in his office, filled out all the form. He checked me out, gave me a check for $10,000. I had never had that much money in my life. Now I must admit, I think I was 26. If I'd have had that $10,000 when I was 18, I'd have bought me a badass Cadillac, you know? I bought me a badass Cadillac. But I got that loan, and me and my two partners went into McDonald's, opened up on March 14th, 1972, one of the first black McDonald's owners in America. Prayer, patience, persistence. Now, failure. Perseverance, persistence, same thing. Well, education is dangerous. It gets in the front of common sense. Number 6 in my book is failure. Failure is never fatal, and success is never final. Now, I must tell you, I had gone from McDonald's. I was an automotive supplier. I think we were doing about $100 million a year. I'm a big baller shot caller, you know. I just know I'm ready for prime time. I got a contract from the automobile company to take me from $100 million to $150. $150 million, and I'm CEO. I wasn't ready for the contract. I didn't have the banking relationship. I didn't have the people, and I didn't have the organization. Within months, as a matter of fact, I was in U.S. News and World Report. My girlfriend, Shannon, I looked at, look at honey, you in U.S. News and World Report. 6 months later, I'm 1 inch from bankruptcy. Never failed at anything in my life, and now everybody gonna read about me. My mama gonna think the world's coming to an end because I'm gonna go into bankruptcy. Somebody tell me about Dr. Terry Gordon. I go to him. He said, man up, asshole. What's wrong with you, man? No. He was very, I had never met him. He was an outstanding physician. He kept telling me, look it, man, if this happens, you're going to be all right, but this ain't going to happen. You're going to find a way to pull this off. You always do. Look at you. He said, I read about you over the years. You got it going on. I said, man, but this one is rough. Long story short, this is what God will do. Because I had paid my dues in Detroit, Michigan. Read my book. 2 black men went to the bank, I don't call the bank's name, and said to the CEO, listen, Pickard is in trouble. He messed up. He's done everything we ever asked him to do in our community. He can't go down like this. You must give him another 6 months to fix this company. And by the way, we've done everything you needed in this bank to help you expand to Texas and California. We supported your application. We want you to give him 6 months. That night, my loan officer called me. We don't like bringing all this politics into our business. Who are these men that met with my CEO? You got 6 months. But he said, if you pull this off, it will be a Harvard casebook study. So whenever I say, what's up, dude? You been to Harvard yet? I'm all right. Never filed bankruptcy. Got the company reorganized and went right on. But failure was right there. This man helped me through it. And I'm telling you today, don't fear failure. It is a part of life. It's a part of the entrepreneurial process. And if God can bring you to it, He can take you through it. Let me tell you something. You better have somebody in your life that keeps saying, yes, you can. I had one fraternity brother, crazy ass Donald Snyder. Every morning, Pick, if you wake up, you got to get up. I said, man, I don't fit. Get up. They come by my house and ring the bell. You got to get up, bro. This ain't the way we going out. And I bore you with that story to tell you that failure is never Plato and success is never final. Last one is faith. Faith. F-A-I-T-H. It's all in the book. Now, I don't care if you're Baptist, Methodist, Catholic, Buddha. I don't get hung up on that. But as I told the guy on the plane this morning, my faith is how I treat this lady.
Yes.
My faith is how I treat the brother on the street.
Yes.
My faith is how I treat anybody I meet. I don't need to have a Bible bigger than I am. It's nice to go to church. I do that sometimes. I don't go every Sunday. But I know the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
I know how to treat people. I know how I want to be treated. And that's how I try to live. That's my faith. And I stand here today to tell you, I've been down many a night. But oh, as your grandmama said, you'll be all right when the morning comes. And I won't bore you with all the stories that anybody can tell you who've been in business as long as I have, 47 years. Social worker. And when things get tight, I say, wait a minute, hold up. Time out. You got to stop this meeting. I'm the only social worker here. Y'all talking about things I don't understand. They said, Pick, you understand it's your company, boy. We all work for you. I said, okay, then we better start over. Dumb it down sometimes. You ain't got to be the smartest person in the room every time you meet. I pride on the fact that my lawyer is a brother from Harvard. My CFO is a brother from Stanford. They come to work every day, they do their job, they make a lot of money. But for me, I have never been able to express to people what a joy it is to be the owner of companies that employ 2,000 black folk and some white folk. But you know, every night you go to bed, as I told the young man that succeeded, he's my CEO. I said, Sylvester, son, let me tell you something. You've been with me 31 years, but you're in the left-hand seat now. And every day I want you to understand one thing. When you make a decision for this company, you got 2,000 families depending on you to make the right decision. Because you can go out and get a job. You're 5'5" Kappa, you know, you're very bright, you got it going on. But most of the people that work for us, this is them, this is their lives. It's tied up in this business. So as I go to my seat, I beg of you, I only have 2 or 3 requests. 1, be the best you can be. Be the best you can be. 2, African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with the team. I'm a team brother. Never played no sports, no brothers and sisters. But I have a posse that's been with me a long time. And we good at what we do. And lastly, I beg of you to do something for black folks. God bless you. Thank you. Give me a round of applause.